The brothers WISP. The brothers WISP, brothers WISP. The brothers WISP. The brothers.
You're now listening to Greg. It's the brothers WISP. Let's take a ride through space on this mother.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us here with the brothers WISP. Today we've got some new faces, some newish faces, and some old faces. Over to my left, we have Tomas Kirnak.
Hello.
And then brand new face, we have Robert Chacon.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, so where are you based out of, Robert?
I'm based here in El Paso, Texas, so like far west Texas, really close to New Mexico.
Okay, yeah. So not the hottest part, but a pretty hotter part of Texas.
I'd argue it's probably the hottest part, but yeah, it's like 110 plus most of the summer, but it's fun. It's a nice place.
So what do you do down there?
I run a small wireless ISP called Jackrabbit Wireless, and we have about 350 subs, so we've been running for like 4 years. And I also am the author of LibreQOS, which is a quality of experience and queuing platform for ISPs. So that's most of what I do, as somewhere between running WISP and developing LibreQOS.
Yeah, so he joined us on the Patreon group, I think about a month ago, a little bit less. Yeah, I've been trying to get him on the cast, and we'll probably do a cast with him about Libre, or maybe we'll even just bug about that today, just how things flow out. Probably not. I think we got enough to chat about. And then below me, the guy who's never stops working is Jon Fernandez.
Yep.
You're based out of a little bit portion of the country that is actually hotter than El Paso.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they're about 110, we're 120.
Phoenix, Arizona never cools down, even in the winter.
No. Yeah.
And you do Geeky Tech. You've got a couple little side gigs, I think.
Yeah. Well, Geeky Tech is our MSP, IT support company, and also brokerage. And then we have GeekFi Internet. That's our hybrid ISP, fiber, and wireless. And then we have GeekFi VoIP, which we just do, it's self-explanatory, phones. And then we got setupshop.me, and that's all of our low voltage cabling, retrofitting buildings, and all that stuff.
As the great philosopher, I think it might have been Eminem, said, you got to keep them separated. But I could be wrong as to which one said that. Well, so before we get into the meat of the episode, let's get through our vegetables, as Greg used to say. The Brothers WISP, it's not cheap hosting and all the other stuff, so just gonna give our shout outs to our sponsors. First off, we have our longtime sponsor, Sonar. Sonar is a scalable, intuitive, and comprehensive ISP billing and operational support system. Learn more at Sonar.Software. They are updating things. Everybody may complain, but they actually do. They have been updating, making things better, and I use it every week. So, it does work. So, check them out. Tower coverage is your RF propagation system to empower your network. Real-time data metrics enable your coverage area, reaching your customer base, and more. The industry's best RF propagation mapping system allows website integration for customer sign-up and pre-qualification. Use this data to scientifically plan network expansion and help your WISP succeed. Get a free trial today at towercoverage.com. Preseem is an edge network QoE solution that enables proactive management of the network and subscriber experience to achieve higher customer satisfaction while lowering operational costs and increasing revenue. Preseem is made by Atero Networks, whose goal is to enable local and regional ISPs to thrive by solving network problems with products that people love. Launched in 2017, Preseem has helped more than 400 ISPs in the US around the world deliver better internet to their subscribers. Also, they wanted me to just quick mention, they're going to be doing an event at WISPapalooza here. Let's see, where do I clicky? Here we go. Preseem 101 and networking event. They'll be hosting that this year in Vegas. Anyone looking to learn more about Preseem or looking to chat with the team is welcome to come by and have a drink on them. They'll be in the Palace 3 room at Paris, Las Vegas on Monday, October 3rd from 2 to 4 p.m. Those interested in attending must save their spot by registering via a web form close to the bottom of the following page. I'll have a link there at on the YouTube channel, and then on our the podcast, and then I'll send that out to the brothers real quick here ahead of time. So yeah, so go ahead and check that out if you're going to be in Vegas here soon. And then finally, our newest sponsor, fun guys, Vilo, a complete mesh Wi-Fi hardware and remote management solution that empowers WISPs of any size to delight your customers, reduce your operating costs, and grow your business. Designed with input and feedback from the ISP community, Vilo is proud to be a trusted partner to over 150 ISPs around the world and our trusted sponsor. Oh my gosh, I sound so terrible. But hey, you know what? These guys are really great. All of them, I've interacted with them. We do like, I specifically got people who were like, when we did the Preseem one, I had John on because he said specifically that he hates QoE and has made many a strong statement against it. And I was like, well, this man is going to be great, and he will be able to ask all the hard questions. And then, of course, the Preseem guys like had him won over halfway through the episode, and I was like, God dang it, because I was going to be a fan girl. I love Preseem, so same for Vilo, good guys, tower coverage and such. So, all right, well,
Vilo's actually been winning me over. I was a very big critic at the beginning, but I'm like,
there was a lot to be critical of. The guys list who beta tested it like was pretty long. That was basically my show notes for that cast was, so how'd you handle this? And they had answers for basically everything. It was awesome. I'm really impressed.
I'm getting more impressed. So like, I haven't deployed any of the Vilo units. I still have my test unit on my workstation that basically every time the software gets updated, I plug it back in and give it a shot. And it's getting better. I am pleasantly surprised that their Wi-Fi 6 models, like it's finally official, they are going to be WRT. So it's going to add basically all the features we've been asking for, because they've been rolling their own software this whole time. So now there's enough features that we've been requesting that they're like, all right, cool. We're going to take WRT and we're going to skin it, and we're going to be happy.
Okay. Wow. That's cool that that's the route they're going. And then they're just going to add in the management over top of it. That's going to be so nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So what have you been using so far, John, for your managed?
All Mikrotiks. So all of our installs are pretty standard. So they're a HAP AC 3 or Cap XL. Or like if they're commercial, it's a 4011 or a 5009.
Okay. So is the Cap XL just passing through DHCP from upstream and doing routing from, or are you actually trying to do routing on the Cap XL?
It actually just runs NAT. So we pass it an IP and then it basically runs. We have, for our commercial customers, we have put in like a 5009 as a router, and then just put in Cap XLs for just basically running them in CapsMan mode. The other thing we have been doing, if they are familiar with Unify, we've just put in Unify IPs and then just have a Mikrotik as our DMARC. Or we just do pass them a VLAN on the GPen 21. But I've been very much against meshing, but I'm just so like, oh, okay.
Eventually you have to give in because running wires is really hard and expensive. So what about you, Robert? What are you running for your CP? Or, well, not CP, but your, well, actually, yeah, CP and customer router.
For the most part, we use, for like the CP radio, we use like Ubiquiti's LTU, which of course has problems, but I can't find anything that provides better latency. And then for the home routers, we use mostly TP-Link's Deco system, their Deco for ISP system. I think it works super well. I mean, like we've had a good experience with it, but you know, there are some longevity concerns. I think Vilo is a company that really is committed to WISPs, so I'm hoping to transition over to Vilo. I had a bit of an issue with some of their like DHCP stuff, but I think it's probably been worked out in more recent firmware, so I'm going to give another try. But I'm excited to try it Vilo.
Yeah, yeah, they're definitely like really working hard on trying to capture the ISP market, which is like, well, you know, if you're gonna get a niche, it's one that I'm glad for you to be getting into. Thomas, you're not running any internet customers anymore, are you?
Well, so the original ISP which I designed and implemented, it still works. I am personally not running it anymore, but yeah, it's still running.
What do they use these days?
Mikrotik everywhere. Like we are literally everywhere.
Oh yeah,
Mikrotik
you guys.
now.
I forgot you were crazy. You're impressive and did Mikrotik for your wireless.
Yeah, we did microcells with Mikrotik, and it works up until this day, and it performs well if it's, you know, architected well, and if you are working within the known limitations of the Mikrotik ecosystem, it definitely can be done, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That's what we started out with, was Mikrotik net metals all at the beginning.
We were lucky enough to go with micropops from the beginning, and that saved us from like a lot of issues down the line, luckily. But yeah.
All right. Well, so I think they're saying that seeing as Robert was mentioning that he's a Ubiquiti shop, I think I remember seeing that there's some new Ubiquiti products hitting the field, like a Wi-Fi man spectrum scanner or something like that is the latest and greatest. It was like only $100.
It was the Wi-Fi man wizard. It pairs to your iPhone, and so that way you can actually do like spectrum analyzing and all that stuff.
Okay.
On an iPhone, because you can't access the baseband on iOS devices or any Apple devices.
Oh, so this is the way to get around that. So for the, because you used to be able to, if I recall correctly. And then they removed that from Apple, in their wisdom said was, no, you don't get to do that anymore.
Yeah, no more fun stuff. Well, because you could cellular unlock the phone by accessing the baseband. So the way they fixed that was no more chipset baseband access, no matter what, even if you are root. And that killed a lot of stuff.
Huh. All right. Geez. Well, so I don't have early access anymore. I think I said too many mean things about Ubiquiti. What is it? I mean, it look interesting. I know I just saw like a Facebook post or two about it. Anything else new coming out?
Let me see. I still have early access. early access stuff. But that is going to be really useful, especially if they continue to develop the AR. It's where I've actually used their heat mapping and stuff like that. It makes a very nice visual for our customers that don't understand. Like if we just tell them like, oh, we got below -65 everywhere, they're like, oh, so does it work? And so this gives them a clear, like, green and blue are good, orange and red are bad.
That's nice.
But,
Okay. So, and then it also
like-
helps them to visualize where things are working well.
Yeah, especially it's like if you give them a map and they're like, okay, where it's red over here doesn't matter anyway, or nope, this isn't important, we're going to need to fix that. So it does make things better going over things with the customer, so that way you just get the job done once instead of, oh, we're having problems over here.
Yeah,
But-
it's just super frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, so there's two. There's one that's actually hooked onto your phone, and then there's another one that's a tag that you can clip onto your tool bag or whatever. So it just continues to sniff and analyze as you walk around, which is nice.
Yeah, that's actually slick. And then it somehow keeps track of where you're at.
Yeah, it uses GPS off your phone. So
Oh, okay. So it'd be like if you're outside and
Mhm.
over a larger area. Oh, that's handy.
yeah, so it's $99 for both.
That's
They
not
just come
bad.
as a kit.
So, oh, cool. All right. Well, rolling from there, anything else new, notable, interesting out of our most favoritist company in the industry? I'm sorry, I'm way too cynical.
Well, did you know elevators were a problem that needed fixed?
Elevators? What?
Yeah, they're made a kit for Unify access for elevators.
So like you could get like supply VoIP?
No. So there's the access controls. So that way, if you didn't know how to wire a button, I guess, because the access control actually already worked for elevators if you knew how to wire the button. But now they made a separate kit specifically to work with elevators, so that way you can control what floors, what cards have access to, and so on and so forth.
Well, that's actually kind of useful because and that fits into their overall, like, hey, we're building this all the security and that whole site, because like the data center that I'm in Denver, your card is supposed to only let you go to particular floors. Now, admittedly, you can go to any floor that you want as long as you have a working card, at least as far as I've played with it. So maybe they don't, maybe that's not. I noticed they also did a POTS line deal, so they're expanding their phone service, but it's like, frustrating. Oh well.
What doesn't Ubiquiti do at this point?
This is they sell servers.
They're doing signage now as well. They made a ConnectCast, I think they called it. So $79 turns any TV into a powerful managed digital signage device. And I'm like, you could already do that with Raspberry Pi and like Pi signage.
Oh yeah, the remote camera deal. Oh, dude, this was cute. The world's first security camera system designed for your interior design professionals, because interior design people hate security cameras.
So the joke was as well with this Wi-Fi, man, like, you know, in the video that they have for it, it's like, this is meant for network designers and architects. And my comment was, yeah, all of the network designers and architects I know love designing their network from their phone. Like, yeah, definitely, sure. And
Yeah.
like, as you can imagine, this entire thing split into a slight holy war in the comments about Android and iOS and Apple and everything else. But to what you said about, you know, you could do this with the Raspberry Pi, it's the same with Wi-Fi mapping and like GPS coordinate sniffing of Wi-Fi networks. This has been around on Linux for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
So,
remember war driving back when I was in high school.
yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best. You could, like, there were still people who had open Wi-Fi access points in Denver. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I loved those people.
Yeah.
So to me, it was quite interesting to understand that basically this entire product and this entire service is just meant as you know, enable something on Apple which doesn't work on Apple. And like, yeah, sure. If you are in that ecosystem, then
I mean,
It is like handy. Like, are you going to design a wireless network from your phone professionally? Most definitely not. It's more one of those things. It's like, all right, I can pull out, show the customer, and just be like, all right, let's walk around, and they get to see all the pretty colors. But yeah, it's just like the premise of, yeah, everybody designs the whole network from their phone. Yeah, probably not.
it depends on how big of a network. So I don't
Hmm.
know. Robert, you ever do multi-access point, like larger business systems?
Not so much. We really focus as much as we can on just the wireless ISP clients, but it's something we're kind of venturing into a little bit. We're trying to not overload ourselves with stuff outside of the ISP space, but definitely Wi-Fi men's been super nifty for that. I'm glad they at least have some solution for the professional engineers who are going to be using that in that context. But it's nifty.
The trouble is, like, a lot of us aren't professionals is the trouble. Like, I came to this industry with a philosophy degree. So like I struggle, like, sometimes being like, oh, well, I'm going to use the like nicest. I started off like my signal analyzer was literally like going into the deeper menu of the developer menu on my phone and being able to look at the like reported Wi-Fi values in there that like updated every 10 seconds. So it's like,
yeah.
And I muddled through. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean, but I muddled through it. And a lot of guys, like, that's the industry though. Like, we aren't here because the professionals are doing their job.
I was just giving them flack for like the disconnect between their like marketing department and the engineers. Like, I'm sure they just came up with it, like you said, for getting that stopgap solution for iPhone users, and then marketing had to figure out something to expand on that a little bit. So yeah, just teasing them there for that.
Also, any guy who's out there using his iPhone, well, I guess if you're using an older model, they're pretty tough. But like using a brand new iPhone on installs, I'd have a heart attack. Like climbing up on a roof and doing the antenna alignment with that. I will say that is the nice thing about Ubiquiti is they have the best like built-in radio for doing the alignment and setup. So that hands down.
I so wish they would have stuck to management Wi-Fi though. I hate the management Bluetooth.
Oh yeah, they're
It's
going
like-
to that now.
Yeah, like all their LTU is Bluetooth. All their air fibers, like the LR and everything, is all Bluetooth.
I haven't
And
played with
it's-
that. Is it bad?
Oh yeah,
It
like
used to be worse. It's a little bit better now. At least consistently connects now, and I don't have like random issues. But it takes a moment.
Yeah.
I like how there's a point of praise for networking equipment. At least it consistently connects.
It was like that.
exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
you gotta search. You gotta dig.
Yeah,
See, that's when you know you're looking for quality equipment. You're working with quality stuff. All right, I think we've beaten on Ubiquiti enough here. Let's see what other new fun stuff has been happening in the industry. Mikrotik's, I think they released 7.5 stable, and I've been seeing a lot of people running 7.5. But they also already have betas out already. And let's see here. I think they have hardware offloading for IPv6 routes. It's like in one of the betas. I haven't been able to follow fast enough. They've just been releasing new firmware so fast. I don't even have time to. I used to keep my home router running the latest, and I just have not had time to sit down and do the updates and see what breaks. I feel so bad.
It's 0.6 that introduces the IPv6 hardware offloading, but for those who have used it, it seems to work super well. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yep. There are 3 hardware, and then packet loss issues with offload NAT. So super cool. We're getting closer and closer, and then also we're seeing what's the new the full VRRP stuff?
Huh? We're done up there.
We're
done up there.
Yeah. It's just... You want me to just mute you, John? I think he did.
Oh, no.
Okay. They have connection track syncing between VRRP routers running in between. So you can basically, with the connection synchronization, it will synchronize the NAT tables and then firewall connections going through, so that if you have a router fail, in VRRP, when the devices start utilizing the backup router, it'll know, hey, this is what was going on, and this is what was allowed, and these are the ports that were in use for these connections. So that's really cool. So that's going to get us closer, one step closer to hitless failover. Trying to
the important part there is that compatibility was broken between previous versions. So if you are upgrading, just watch out, because if you have VRRP connection sync and you upgrade just one of the routers, it will completely break VRRP. It will not negotiate. It will not sync. So you have to upgrade the entire pair for this to work.
Okay.
Yes, I figured that out on our 60 gigahertz networks and some of the trailer parks. That was definitely a thing.
Definitely, you want to read those notes, upgrade the changelog notes when you are upgrading, especially when you are upgrading into beta software. Unless you want to live like John, but Robert, are you running any version 7 firmware?
I want to. It has a much better REST API. I just haven't upgraded because I was worried about VPLS interoperability with V6, but supposedly they fixed it. It's hard to tell. There's like 3 users on the Mikrotik forum who have that use case, so or who have like mentioned it. So it's hard to upgrade all production systems without knowing. But I'm testing it in the lab, and it seems to be okay. So eager to try it out. But it seems really great. I mean, in general, it really caught up a lot, I think, in the last like 3-4 months with V7. So it looks super promising.
Yeah.
Like reading the changelog as well for V7, you can see it's maturing. Like there's not as many huge and big changes and features anymore. It's like mostly like 1 or 2 features and then mostly fixes, which I think is a good sign for the stability of the code base.
Yeah, and improved system stability, driver support. I mean, these are boring things. There's not a lot of new things.
I don't think that's boring. I think all of us appreciate the stuff not failing and, you know, freezing and getting stuck. So I think like those fixes are definitely appreciated.
Thomas, I appreciate your want for reliability, but I appreciate my inner desire to be employed and justify my paycheck.
If it just works, we don't get paid. Okay, yeah.
I am the employee. I am an employee here. I do not employ people. I don't care if it works right. I just want to have my paycheck next.
I just care if I can make it work. Stability is an afterthought.
I think we have some issues in this group right now. But,
No, Bill, don't be a crazy man. Don't run beta code. Don't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've had a few guys get a hold of me because like I was posting about Cake and Mikrotik's V7 BGP stuff, and they were like, "Hey, I've got this new 2116 router, and we have no idea how to configure it." And it's like, why are you? Oh no. This is not a good day. This is going to be really painful for you. I'm sorry.
They weren't trying to run in production, right? They were just like testing out in the lab.
Oh God, no. It was actively in production.
Oh boy,
That is times.
Was that a few months ago? Like when it was really super unstable, or like right now?
The first one was back in June. No, there's 3. There's one guy who was like back in February. I was like, February or like March. I was like, dude, you're crazy. Just don't go buy new hardware. Just put this in.
Don't
like
tell
return
everybody my secrets.
It was not you.
People.
No, you have yeah. Well, yeah, you were not one of the people I told to rebuy. There were guys who had absolutely no idea how to run stuff, like hadn't ever interacted with Mikrotik before. They were like, we were told to get Mikrotik, and I was like,
no.
So yeah, my heart died a little bit.
Our whole network is 2004s, 2116s, and like 5009s for the most part. But we just work crazy like Tommy and run BGP everything. So like everybody that was having all the issues with OSPF were like, eh.
That was one of the things that people were saying for the 2004s is if you weren't running OSPF, you were fine. And that was true for me. Yeah. Like I've never run OSPF, so I never saw any of the 2004 issues. But there have been other people who were not running OSPF as well and who had the issues. So they just weren't lucky sons of guns like me and you, I guess.
Was it like the 1072s or 1074s that was like some people, they're rock solid, had no issues, and some people, there was issue after another, and pretty much everybody was like, as came down to hardware issues that they just couldn't narrow down.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've been a super lucky guy. I don't know, Thomas, did you ever run a 1072?
Not a 1072. I ran a bunch of 36s and 9s and 16s, not a 72.
I think the 36 is everyone. I don't think it's been a long time since I've heard anybody complaining about having a bad 36, other than the power supply issues every once in a while or something like that. Somebody will post in forums.
And as long as they weren't running like the fiber model, if they weren't running
the 2-port 10 gig.
Running the copper converters.
Oh yeah, that bit me in the butt. Yeah, we had the 1 gig ports, and that bit me really hard. That was a huge pain in the nuts diagnosing that.
Yep.
Yeah, the fiber converters in the 36 did not work well. That was definitely very frustrating. Well, let's see what other new cool industry news. Cogent bought T-Mobile's wireline service. So if you were getting T-Mobile delivering fiber to you, or Sprint, I guess Sprint's old fiber network, which I'd heard in the weeds that Telia had been looking at buying that a while back, and then T-Mobile bought Sprint, and then I guess now Cogent bought them out. And Telia was saying, at least Telia, when they were talking to me, like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, is that Sprint's fiber network was kind of old. I'm like, well, but it's fiber, so
yeah,
how bad could
it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it matters at some levels.
Yeah, Well, like the older the network was like the lower fiber count, like per cable, but that was pretty much it.
Well, and you have hits and more splices, so you're getting more loss if you're using dark fiber and such. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Thomas, can you think what are the other issues with fiber over the years it goes bad?
It depends on how it's installed. Many times you get moisture everywhere, right? And that's just It depends if it's in the ground, if it's in the air, if it's in the ground, and how was it done? Is it in tubes? Is it in just laid there? I've seen some crazy stuff over the years, and it depends a lot on the installer company, right? And I don't know how this actually works in the US, if Cogent was just installing everything themselves, or if they had subcontractors, etc. There's a host of issues, and it just all depends on the quality and the pedantness of the people doing it, right?
Yeah, by and large, mostly my experience in the United States is everything's just going to be subcontracted, just because it's hard for companies to keep a fiber crew busy all the time. So
it's like at that scale, do you have documentation? I hope you do at that scale. What is the consistency and the truthfulness of that documentation, right? And like you are buying a nationwide fiber network. It's tough.
Yeah.
There's like almost always no documentation. It's like, here's the GPS where it probably is. And that's about it.
I actually no. So Unity, let's see, who was the company that WANRAC was the company we were working with. They knew exactly where their cables. They were like, oh yeah, it's running right through this cabinet here. And we're like, yeah, we're in that cabinet. It's labeled with your stuff. We'd really like to get on your fiber. So they were super helpful. They actually had good stuff, and Unity, every time I've interacted with them, they know, but that was only back in Colorado in a very small area. So Robert, you rocking any fiber in your network, or are you just wireless?
Just wireless for the moment. I mean, like for pop or repeater houses, they have fiber sometimes, like between the Aviat backhauls or something to their property. But for the most part, it's just wireless at the moment. But we're hoping to move into fiber. We need to just achieve that profitability to where we can afford the subcontracting costs, because it's a little hard as a startup, but we're getting close.
Nice. So John, what you've been talking to me about doing some fiber network. What are you doing?
If it's all been on private property so far, majority has all been aerial, but there's been a couple like trailer parks and HOA areas where they didn't care basically if we piggyback their conduit for the power, and then we just blow through like the ultra slim fiber through. So we have some like underground in those places, but we keep thinking about getting into like XGS-PON and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's all just been active Ethernet because it's been the easiest. And we haven't needed to run anything past 10 gigabit, like between our switches. So fiber count really hasn't been an issue.
Okay. Well, dang. Super small, simple. Let's see here. For us US people, BDC has extended the deadline for submissions. So keep on submitting, get your paperwork in. You do need to submit both your 477 and the BDC paperwork, even though the 477 is mostly included in the BDC stuff. I guess there's been people getting reached out to by the FCC for not submitting their 477, even though they did their BDC stuff. So I guess the 477 stuff is supposed to go till FCC says, hey, don't submit this anymore. So I don't know. John, you do your BDC stuff. Who'd you do it with?
We just use tower coverage, and I'm just like, I didn't have the time to try to learn it, so they had their pricing was pretty reasonable on just taking all of our maps, having the engineers go over it and submitting it for us. So I took the boring route.
I honestly, it works. Is kind of a nice one, especially when it comes to the government, telling you need to do this. Just hard sometimes. Did anybody play around with actually, Robert, did you mess around at all with your BDC submission?
Yeah, we used the location fabric. So we had been like accumulating a list of houses that we knew were like 99% odds covered. Like we had checked the line of sight using LiDAR or other stuff. So we'd already been compiling that for a few years, and it made it pretty easy to transition that into the location fabric. But it definitely takes a little bit of Python scripting and stuff. Like there's no tools out there to really do that. So if anyone wants some of those tools, they're on my GitHub. But yeah, it was a bit of time spent on that, but it turned out pretty all right.
Yeah, well, and then now there's articles about how small ISPs are struggling to submit their data. It's like, and FCC is like, we tried to provide them with technical. No, you didn't. You did not provide any technical support.
No.
There was there was two different like video deals meetings that they did, and they were just like, here's the buttons to click, and people were like, but I have these technical questions about how to do this stuff, and they did not answer those questions at all. I know guys were getting phone calls, but they were just being told, hey, you need to submit this, don't not submit. It's like, God, come on. So that's really frustrating.
Through for some aspects of it, like you would have a lot of, if you use the location fabric, something like 30% of most people's location fabrics would have individual entries rejected, but it wouldn't tell you exactly why at first. They agreed on that, but yeah, it was because like the fabric just did not. It would mark a lot of those as being, I guess, non-serviceable entities, which they didn't really go into and provide any feedback on. So a lot of people were just like, "What's going on?" And I know that stressed out some of the people who were offering like easy solutions for this, like tower coverage and other folks. So everyone's had to work through all this.
Yeah, it was very, very frustrating for a lot of people. I know it's on Facebook. There was guys with like, who are seeing 60-70% areas of like just bad data.
Yeah, I know with ours, a lot of our multi-tenant stuff, was only counted as like one. Let's say we had an apartment complex that was 700 and some units there. The location fabric would just be like, oh, main office, and that's it. So it's like, if you're going for like a population density thing, it's like your numbers were chopped massively. Especially when it's trailer parks and things like that, where they have separate mailable addresses. The location fabric's like, yeah, this is just one. Okay. Like, that's not true, but still it needs fixed. And I know tower coverage and those guys are working on it, but it's the government. So
yeah, well, and as the big thing that like Dennis was saying when I had the cast with him, like, is there's going to be a point wherein we get to make hey, this is not correct, there's actually addresses here, or there are not any addresses here, adjustments to the location fabric. We as ISPs will get to be able to do that. So what I've been just telling people is document all of them as best as you can, and then you can submit them to the FCC and say, hey, this is where all these, there are actually customers here, and I'm actually servicing them with internet connectivity, so that then becomes a, like, they can upgrade that. And then after that, there's actually supposed to be a third review process where end consumers get to make commentary on the location fabric. So that's going to be a whole new level of Firestorm, because that's just, as soon as like Wired or Ars Technica or somebody is like, hey, here's instructions for how you can complain to the government about your internet. Oh my gosh. That's going to be fun.
If it's Comcast they're focused on, but who knows? There's a lot of folks who, I mean, you see it on like reviews for a lot of small ISPs. It's like, they couldn't deliver service to my address that was 12 miles outside of their service area. What's going on? So we might get some of that as, complaints like that.
I remember having those conversations with people and being like, I know, I'm sorry. I know because for years we had, what was the name? Mid-America Computing, MAC. That was how we submitted our 477. And that always used the billing address for the 477 documentation being filled out instead of the service address. And I complained about this for years and never got fixed, or they would like fix it and then revert the fix like 6 months later for the next time. And so I just gave up. I was like, fine, if you guys don't, the bosses didn't care enough to complain to Mac consistently about it, and Mac said they fixed it, but it wasn't fixed. Whatever, it's not skin off of my back. I just have to tell people that I'm sorry. So yeah, we would get calls from Texas, Tennessee, down in Denver, of people like, hey, can I get, this site says your internet. I'm like, I apologize. There's some bad data out there showing that we have service in that area. We don't. I'm sorry. I'd love to expand that way. I wouldn't have said that.
$4 million, it'll be done.
yeah, it's just that. That's just outside of our coverage area. We do towers and such, and so usually what I would end up doing is going back and looking for other service providers that they could use, and trying to get them somebody, just because it's like, they're desperate. They're, they obviously have tried the normal big guys because that's what everybody just thinks to use. So I don't know. Actually, Thomas, do you guys have anything kind of like a website for internet service providers in your EU or in your area? Or is it just
no, not really? And I honestly don't even know like the countries around us, like Poland, Czech, etc. I don't think there is a national registry of
Very interesting, because Tom Smith has been bugging me about some internet service provider documentation stuff. I guess they're changing some rules about how you can get funding from the EU or like your government for building out. So that's possibly might be a cast coming up soon. That'll be fun. Let's see, any other fun topics or news that you guys have been running into? Unimus has some new updates I've been noticing.
Always.
Your pricing structure is having to change, unfortunately, too.
Yeah, that's going on the 1st of October. Hopefully, so we've sent out newsletters to everybody. We posted on all the socials and all the communication channels. So hopefully everybody already knows about that. I would hope, trying to be as transparent as possible with that.
I'm going to be honest. I was like reading it, and eventually I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, you have made it extremely clear to me. What's the end result is kind of where I was. Because I was like, I'm going to give you money. You could go up $20. I'm not going to go away, partially because I'm the employee type. Again,
it's not your checkbook.
Not my checkbook. Actually, no, for my personal good business, it would be my checkbook. But it makes sense. Like, everything's going up, and with how COVID just has changed remote work, it's just like, I guess it has it really been a pretty big move in your area for like price increases for programmers?
Yeah, it's become literally unsustainable. So for those who haven't read, like, so for the Unimus pricing increase, I put out a essay of why. I try to answer the why as best as possible, and like I said, cleanly and openly and honestly. So for anybody who hasn't read that, like the wages for software developers in Slovakia have gone up unsustainably ridiculously high over the last 3 years. And so, yeah, what has happened is due to COVID, remote work became normal. Processes and systems and technology for remote work became normal. And so all of the companies from the bigger markets, of course, US, Britain, UK, Germany, so started hiring in our local market. And Slovakia has been for the last 5, even 10 years, top 5 in Europe for quality of software developers. So, when you're a big company, and you want to decrease your costs for software development, you just hire in the cheaper markets. But what that does to the cheaper market, right, is the wages skyrocket. And so that's what's been happening to us. And it's now to a point where I don't think it's sustainable anymore. If you look at the difference in wages for IT, for software developers specifically, to a normal person in Slovakia, it's to the point where it's just ridiculous. It's literally the pay for a senior software developer is 6 times the national average pay, which is just ridiculous, right? So I don't know. I think the average pay in the US is $70K right now or something like that, right?
I'm looking it up right now. So senior software engineer, USA salary, pay scale, you're looking between 90 to 160K, 98 to 140K, from depending
so
on
let's say in the US it's probably the double the average salary, right? If average salary is 70K and senior software engineer is on average 150K, that's 2, maybe 2.5. So in Slovakia it's currently 6 times, which is, like I said, it's unsustainable. And that goes same for us. We have to pay those salaries to our people, right? If we are not wage competitive, our developers are just gonna go for a better offer. And who can blame them, right? It's at a certain point, the however comfortable you are in your job, when you look somewhere else and the price is I could get paid 50% more money over there,
Median salary US is 54, so just under double median salary. And then household income is just under 70K for 2020. So
yeah.
Our joke actually is right now that software developers in Slovakia are coming close to US wages, which is ridiculous. So because for me, always personally, pricing is a very sensitive point for me. We try to make our software as cheap as possible, which no good business development person should ever say. Right? You want to make as much money as possible, not make it as cheap as possible. But I think for us, it's just fair. It's the same as if you look at Mikrotik, right? Mikrotik could easily price their stuff very differently than they do. But there is a philosophy there, and that's why they've been growing, and it works. It works differently than your Cisco pricing or Juniper pricing. It's just a different growth structure. But
I would assume that we're going to see. Where is Latvia in programming, quality of programmers in the EU?
So Latvia is good with quality, but has problems with quantity. Latvia is a tiny country. It's basically Riga, and then that's it.
What you're saying is that there's probably not going to be the same issue for Mikrotik, in that their software engineers are going to go.
I really don't think this is sensitive. It's public data. You would have to search for it, but it's public data. But so Mikrotik is actually now paying for their senior developers. And you could actually, like I said, this is public, and so you can censor this later if it's not. But you can actually check on the Latvian job websites, and Mikrotik is offering around 120K a year for a software developer. This is euros. Well, euro and dollar right now is 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Didn't used to be, but it is. Which is even more than in Slovakia right now. Slovakia is not as high as that, but that's It's literally US wages for software developers in Latvia that Mikrotik is paying, which is, again, it's simply unsustainable due to how the economies work here. Like, it used to be 5 years ago, to run a software company in Slovakia used to be 1/3 of the price you would run it in the US, which allowed you to do much, aggressive pricing and cheaper software and everything else. And right now, like 5 years, and we are to a point where, like, here it's almost to the point where our costs are the same as US, and the rest of the economy is not, going that way. So like I said, the difference in wages is just unsustainable. Literally, it's creating literally a new class of people that are, Anyway, it's a complex topic, complex issue. But
It's interesting. We internet service providers have broken the world in yet another way.
Yeah. Well, have you looked for developers and things like in South America, like us? When we don't do complicated development. It's mostly just somebody wants a custom app or something like that. Our development team is in Hermosillo, Mexico, because for the same reason, like for us to pay US developers isn't sustainable. It's like, okay, we got an application that's worth $10,000. We can't pay $80,000 to a developer for 8 months of work. So have you guys thought about going that route?
So for us, it's different because, like, Unimus, it might not look like it. It's very complex and very in-depth application. Like, at this point, not a single person in our company knows the entire code base and the entire functionality of the software. It's that big. And like I said, it's kind of deceiving because Unimus is designed from a front-facing perspective to be as simple and as easy as possible. But what that does is that transfers that complexity from the end user to the development and to the system itself, right? And for us, it's completely normal. You come to our office and 3 people are, standing behind a single computer and talking and like actively debugging stuff, and everybody knows something and they're helping each other. We have whiteboards everywhere, and they are constantly being used. So for us, like, transitioning to a remote work and transitioning all of that knowledge, I don't think it would work. Like, the product, and you have software developers, and then for Unimus, you have to know software development, but you also have to know networking. Like, you really have to.
Yeah.
Like, our software developers are very good networking people. They didn't used to be, but now they are, because, like, for us, it's a normal to debug TCP, session establishments and debug like completely low-level Linux, doing TCP dumps and everything else. And like, normal developer doesn't have a clue what that is. And like, that's not a dig at developers, right? They usually don't have to. But
they shouldn't have to. We're doing our job right.
Yeah, but for us, we write software for networking, so it's quite different. And I don't think that would, like, that approach, the way we do things and the amount of knowledge and the width of the knowledge that you have to write software like this, I don't think that's very easily transferable, first of all. And second of all, I don't think it would work in a distributed remote work environment. Or at least maybe it would work, but it would be a lot slower, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, any other fun topics y'all have been running into? Any new fun bugs?
Except for the Mikrotik update breaking my 60 gig network, but that was about it.
So let's see here. Nothing big. Well, Robert, let's stick a fork in it, and maybe you can give everybody a little taste. What is LibreQOS really quick while we're signing off, and we'll probably do a little bit of a QoS episode. See if I can get some of the Preseem guys in for fun.
Absolutely. Well, basically, it started as a script just to create, quality of service enforcement, and now it's kind of evolved into being a more actual platform for folks to enforce like quality of experience rules and to track stuff like TCP latency. But essentially, it's multi-threaded. it's beginning to have more integrations. So like with UISP, we just finished an integration that we're trying to work the bugs out of, but it actually fully maps out the network. So what it does, it's kind of unique, is that you can actually do queuing at multiple levels. So it's not just at the AP and the client end. For example, if you have a backhaul that's 1 gig, like an AF60LR, and you're like me and you're too lazy to replace it on the tower because it would cost a lot with permitting, you can actually queue at that backhaul. So you can make sure that there's never a peak that is enough to break OSPF, to break BGP, and that allows you to really theoretically very aggressively oversell your network. I don't do that, but I mean, it's just something you could, but you can at least push the limits a little bit more. And it really helps the clients. The clients aren't seeing as much packet loss. Even in situations where they were doing AP and client queuing, it has a dramatic impact in terms of like at peak hours. One of my friends is on our network, and he did a waveform buffer bloat test. He got like 1 millisecond in each direction at most, on top of whatever the normal latency is. So it's helpful for those things. So basically, the hierarchical queuing is the really cool advantage of it.
Cool. All right. Well, we will throw that the banner out, see if we can get some Preseem, and maybe you mentioned David and getting David Tat. I have interacted with him a couple times, and as I put in the thread, like, he's a wild horse, and writing with him it will be an interesting thing. So I'll have to swallow a pretty big pill before I can get ready for that one.
He has a very knowledge of all the queuing stuff, but I think it'd be great to have him on. And
yeah,
he's fun, dude.
All right. Well, we'll see about getting him on. If people on the internet want to get a hold of you, what should they do? How should they do it?
It's LibreQOS.io, so LibreQOS.io, and that has a link to our GitHub, and you can see the active issues tracker, and either contribute ideas for how we can improve the software, or you can just reach out to me directly through the website. Actually,
quick question before we step forward. How do you so is this like a side project of yours, or is this like company time that you get paid to work on it?
Whenever I'm not doing anything super important, like when I'm not doing installations, I'm just working on the code base. So it's more of a pet project that's super fun to me, but we're trying to push it toward being a more commercial solution, where the code base is completely free and open source. But if someone wants some fancy bells and whistles added, we will integrate that into the whole code base at the expense of whichever ISP needs those specific features. But at a pretty reasonable cost. So, yeah, it's going to be free and open source forever. It's just,
that's awesome.
Use and contribute to.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had a couple little projects, much smaller scale, that when I had a developer available to me, I was like, well, we're just going to throw it on GitHub because I'm not going to make any money off of this, and the company is not going to make any money off of this. A GPIN 21 configurator somewhere out there on the world. So, all right, well, cool. Well, thanks for being on, and we'll catch you around. Thomas, if people are wanting to get a hold of you, what do they do?
As always, just unimus.net, and yeah, there's a live chat there. If you ask for me, I'm there.
He's always in the queue. John, how about you?
Mostly everybody contacts my wife to get a hold of me. Our number is on our website, geekytech.com, or if you email me directly, maybe I'll see it. It's john@geekytech.com or geek5wifi.com, or
Are you going to be at WISPapalooza?
Trying to. Just with all of our projects going, I don't know about this year, but we're trying to make it happen. If we get there, it'll be definitely getting last minute tickets for sure.
Cool.
But
well,
thankfully Phoenix is not that far away, so
no, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Drive.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like 4 hour drive.
Yeah, that's not bad. So yeah, I will be there. Definitely. So you'll be able to catch me at a bunch of the events and such. Let's see. I don't know if Mike's going to make it. I've chatted with him once about it, but what about you, Thomas? You going to be trying to make it over?
Yeah, I'll be there. We have a booth for Unimus. I'm presenting on a bunch of presentations. Yeah.
Awesome. Robert, you gonna make a run?
Yeah, I'll be there Monday and Tuesday, and Dave Todd will also be there. So if anyone has questions about queuing or wants to go in depth on that, please hit us up.
Wow! Oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's so cool. Actually, we will possibly be having a fun podcast with some of the WISPA crew. So look forward to that. And then let's see. Oh, if you're trying to get a hold of me, Tommy at lostcreek.tech. You can find me on the Brothers with Slack all the time, almost. I've been a little busy the last couple of weeks, but if I'm not answering questions, there's a half dozen other people answering far better than I. Let's see. If you have any questions related to the Brothers WISP, shoot us an email at thebrotherswisp@gmail.com. That would be awesome and much appreciated. And from there, I guess I will be catching you all around. So thanks all for showing up.
On Vilo, we might be getting Mike SFP cage.
And this has been a wonderful day. Oh man. Oh Mikey. There's a little shout out to you and your little baby boy Levi. Say hi. Hi Levi. All right, catch you all later.
Yeah. See ya.
Wireless networking, we talk about equipment and methodology, so sit back and start learning. Lighten up the tower so people can start searching. Shooting up the web in neighborhoods, net surfing. We got horrible jokes, we're loud and annoying, but we're informative facts, we're not disappointing. Just give us a listen, cause fun is the mission. I'm telling you, you don't know what you are missing. Ideas and some good comedy given. If you missed the show already, don't worry, you're forgiven.